What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with a review for The Oval on BET. This is season 2. This is episode number 7. I don't know how I put up 2 fingers saying 7 instead of just, this is episode 7. I know my numbers. I know how to count. It's episode 7, and the episode is titled Hidden Secrets. I don't know why it was titled Hidden Secrets, because there wasn't anything that we found out that we didn't know. Did we? Not really. Not really. Well, one thing. But without further ado, you guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into this episode review, shall we? All right, you guys. So this episode, we open up where the last one left off. You guys remember, in the last one, Alan had walked in on Donald and Kyle kissing. Hilarious. And it's so funny. Kyle asks Alan, don't you know what knocking means? He's open. Now I can see it if he was coming into, like if he was opening the door to walk, like, you know, like with your front door, you open it to walk in. He opened the door, a side door, and came in. So what is he gonna knock for? Knock, 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 sir, are you there? Like, he's obviously in his office, so whatever. So Alan was actually just coming to tell Donald that Hunter wanted to see him. So Donald's like, okay, I'm gonna go see Hunter. And not Max, but Kyle's like, cool, that leaves me and Alan together. And they had this long, repetitive dialogue. So I'm gonna sum it up for you guys. So Kyle went into his office. He says, are you uncomfortable? And he said, no, I'm not uncomfortable. He says, I'm a little hot. He's like, he's like, what do you mean hot? He's like, warm, you know, like these lights have me warm in this room. He's like, oh, I thought you meant like a sexual high. He says, no. He says, no. Yeah, it just went back and forth. So then he says, what did you see? I didn't see anything. Oh, and then he asked him, what's making you hot? I'm pretty sure the fact that he just saw his boss kissing a man. But we're going to play it off like we didn't see it, right? Yep, that's what we're going to do. So then he asked Alan, who do you talk to outside of the White House? He says, nobody. And then he says, he asked him one more time. He says, well, I do have some friends, but I don't talk to them about anything that goes on here at the White House. So then he asked, oops, excuse me, y'all, I didn't mean to burp in your face. So then he asked him, what else did he ask him? He asked him, where's he from? He said New York. He said, what part of New York? I think he said Harlem, the Bronx, somewhere in New York. Wasn't really paying attention. So he tells him, if you say anything, I will take your eyes out. Why would you take his eyes out? Why wouldn't you? Okay, whatever. He said he'll take his eyes out. Don't really give a shit. Let's move on. So then we see Priscilla. So Priscilla is in the break room, and she calls Greg, who is Gene's boyfriend, and she's asking him, as he talked to Gene. He says, no, I actually called Gene, but never heard from her. She says, I tried to call her as well, and I haven't heard anything from her either. So she says, well, when I get off of here, I'm going to go by there and check on it. He says, no, you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go by there and check. I'm about to leave here and go check on it. She says, okay, just let her know what's going on. So then Sam comes into the break room, and he tells Priscilla that you're right. She is after me. And she says, he says, but you know, trust me, I would never do anything to hurt you or us. She says, but getting your dick sucked wouldn't. He says, it didn't happen. She says, oh no, you stopped her mid-swallow. I was like, damn, mid-swallow. So we found out a little bit more about Priscilla and Sam. So Sam and Priscilla are in debt because her mother had cancer, and you know, she did the cancer, the bills, I'm assuming, and then her mother passed. So that is another added debt on top of them taking out a second mortgage. So they're in debt. So he says that this would help them get out of debt. So then Priscilla says to him, you know, taking this position with Victoria, knowing what he knows, is to spite her because, one, they don't have any kids. 2, they're in debt. And 3, they're not having sex. Well, Priscilla, one of them is on your fault. One of them is your part, the sex part. Sam wanted to have sex with you. You told him no. So you can't really blame him. But I mean, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But you can't really blame him. But let's move on. All right, you guys. So let's talk about Bobby. So Bobby and Max, they are still at this cabin. Bobby is pacing around the cabin, worried about Lily because he hasn't heard from Lily. So he told Max that if he doesn't hear from Lily, he's gonna go check on her. So then the phone rings. He answers the phone. He thought it was Lily, but it's in fact Diane. And she's like, she's not with you. He says, no, she went back home. She says, so she's back in. She says, yes. She says, well, I'm going in as well because Donald called me. So they talk about that. She tells him, like I said, she told him she had a meeting with Donald. And she says this might be good for us to have, people on the inside, having them thinking we're on their side, but we're working to take them down. So she says, well, once I have finished this meeting up with Donald, I'll call you and let you know how it goes. So then Bobby is getting his stuff to go because he's going to go check on Lily. Max says, you're not going alone. I'm coming with you. He says no, but eventually he just lets Max come. Why? Kyle just tried to kill Max. You got Max out of the hospital. Okay, I'm going to keep it moving because I was confused by that. They just tried to kill him. They know he's alive. Why would you take him with you? That's not the smartest thing in the world to do, but I'm going to let you have that one. So then we see Greg. So Greg makes it to, that was Kyle. Because I just thought about that. I'm like, who the hell tore up her apartment? Kyle. So Greg made it to her apartment. And he called Priscilla to let Priscilla know that Jean's apartment has been ransacked. And Priscilla was like, well, why don't you call the cops? He says, I've been to jail. I was about to say, what the hell does it have to do with the price of tea in China? But I get it. He's a black man. He's been to jail. His girlfriend's apartment has been ransacked. She's missing. They're going to automatically assume he did something. So I got it. Now here's the thing that bothered me with that scene. It was just really a small thing with me. But I guess he wasn't thinking about it because she asked him, did he touch anything? You touched the doorknob. He said he didn't touch anything in the apartment, but you touched the doorknob. So Priscilla calls the cops, and the cops, does for fingerprints. Your fingerprints are there on that doorknob. Now your fingerprints won't be on anything else but the doorknob. But if he gets a good lawyer, like Veronica Harrington, if he gets a good lawyer, they could easily say that's his girlfriend's apartment. He's been there many times, and I'm pretty sure when is the last time they could reasonably say he's her boyfriend. He was a welcome guest, so at any point in time, he could have been over there and put his hands on the doorknob. But that was the one thing that caught my attention when he said he didn't touch anything, but he left back out and touched that doorknob. I'm like, dude, your fingerprints are on that doorknob. Just saying. But he probably wasn't thinking, so I'm going to let him have that one. So let's move on. All right, you guys. So Sharon, she is talking to the new guy. What is his name? Because in my notes, that's all I have him as, this new guy. I don't know what his name is. We've only saw him in one episode, and I don't remember which episode it was in. It wasn't the last one. Do you guys remember what episode it was, and do you guys remember his name? Dale? That's his name? Okay, so Dale. Dale is his name. Remember, you guys remind me that his name is Dale. Dale. Okay, now back to the notes. So Sharon was talking to Dale. She's asking him if he can tell her where the Rackadoochies is. He says, I can draw you a picture. I'm like, draw me a picture? What is this? First grade? Like, can you give me physical directions? If you get on Highway 64, drive north about 3 miles, and then once you get to there's a FM marker, you turn left. Once you turn left, you drive, you go down about a half a mile, and then you will turn to the right. You go down that way you go another mile, and then you'll see a big house with a light on it, and that's it. He said, draw her a map. Draw her a map. Is this a treasure hunt? Okay, Dale. So then she asked him if he can tell her, like, what does he know about the Rackaduchies? He says, well, what he knows, he's heard is rumors, and he doesn't like to repeat rumors, which I'm like, okay, I understand that. You don't want to repeat a rumor because you don't want nobody to come at you suing you for libel and slander. Gotcha, Dale. Made sense. But what he did tell her was the place that he used to work at, the women would come in there and try to recruit the young girls. Really? You guys, don't say anything. I know what you guys are going to say. I already know it, so don't leave it in the comment section. Just tell me one thing. Because I did, like I said, I watched some of Ruthless, but I just don't remember. Is the Rackaduchies mostly female? That's what I don't remember. Is it mostly female? I know it was but I think it is. I think it is. Ew. Okay, whatever. I'm going to watch it, you guys. You're not getting a review of it, but I will watch it just so I know what's going on with the show. I'm going to have to pray to God before I watch that damn show. I'm going to have to really pray to God. So, Barry shows up because Dale said, there's a guy right behind you. He's looking at you. So Barry tells her to come on outside. So she goes outside to talk to Barry. She's like, what are you doing here? You know Kareem is going to call the cops on me. I ain't worried about Kareem calling the cops on me. Barry, you should be. In the course of, here's another question that I have. If anybody can answer this question for me. How many days has it been since the inauguration? I have not figured that out. Now, in the first half of season 1, I was up to date with how many days had passed. I think at this point it's only been, I really believe it's only been 4 days, 3 or 4 days. And in this time frame, Barry has now been arrested. How many times has Barry been arrested since this show started? Barry's been arrested at least 3 times, right, you guys? Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, but I think Barry, he got arrested in the last episode for kidnapping Ruth. Well, not the last episode. He got arrested for kidnapping Ruth. He got arrested for driving through Kareem's store. He got arrested for that. He got arrested for something else. Oh, how could I forget that one? How in the hell did I forget that? He got arrested for the bloody knife. So yeah, Barry's been arrested 3 times. And this is in the course of a few days. So Barry, you're looking to add another, okay, Barry. So she asked him, what does he want? Barry went around the bush. He says, is there something you want to tell me? She's like, what are you talking about? Is there something you want to tell me? What are you talking about? I'm like, oh my God, Barry, spit it out. Like, I don't know. Barry is just retarded. Oops, we don't say that word. Sorry, you guys. Barry is special needs. He's special needs. Because I'm like, dude, instead of just saying, is there something you want to tell me? Tell her, hey, my mom found a pregnancy test in the trash can, which I think that's still nasty. The fact that Nancy picked up that pregnancy test with her bare hands. But my mom found a pregnancy test. Are you pregnant? Yes or no? She told him yes, she's pregnant. Then he went one step further and asked her, am I the father? She slapped the hell out of his ass. I'm like, exactly. He's like, well, I saw you with Kareem on the counter. Dude, do you know how long it takes to get pregnant? You don't get pregnant just like that. It doesn't happen that way. So her and Kareem on that counter, she's not pregnant because of that. But They had a back and forth with that. Nancy finally pulled up on the scene, told him to come with her or go home, one of the two. Kareem was talking to, what's his name, Dale. Dale told Kareem she was outside with Barry. Kareem went outside. They had a back and forth. Barry said he'll beat his ass, which I don't doubt that at all. Because that's look like all that Barry is good for is having sex and fighting. Let's see where we want to go next. Oh God, this is gonna be an interesting scene to talk about. So let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. Next, let's talk about Donald. So I don't know what Donald was thinking. So you guys remember last week's episode that Donald told Hunter that they would get Jason some help, right? So he has a psychiatrist there, which Jason called her a psychologist. So which one is she? Is she a psychiatrist or a psychologist? Because y'all know those are two different things, right? Because I know I'm almost positive Donald called her a psychiatrist. But I have an issue with Dr. Meadows. So, you know what? I don't have an issue with Dr. Meadows. I have an issue with Dawn. Because Dr. Meadows comes in, she's a gorgeous woman. Oh, do I want to say this? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Her neckline was very strong. She has a very defined neck. I mean, a very defined neck. I was just looking at her neck the whole time. I'm like, wow, she has a very strong neckline. I'm not being shady or anything. I was just looking at her neck and noticing that it was very strong. Then I noticed, I'm like, wait a minute, she's a psychologist or psychiatrist, whichever one she is, and she's coming to see a patient. I'm out here for women's, I'm out here for, women's empowerment, women dressing how they want to dress, being themselves. But is a professional to show up to a client with, like this, with your titties all out like that? Like, is that professional to show up with your titties out? Because her titties were out. I'm like, wow. And then I blame Donald. Donald, Hunter's a pervert. Jason's a pervert. Hunter flirted with her as soon as she walked in. We're going to talk about Jason in just a minute, but Hunter flirted with her. Then they had a back and forth. Hunter was like, is she trustworthy? She's a doctor. They take a Hippocratic oath, meaning what they talk about with their patients is doctor-patient confidentiality. The only way she can say anything is if she's subpoenaed in court and if Jason gives her permission, and Jason is a minor. But the biggest way she can only say something is if she's subpoenaed and if someone calls her to court and subpoena her. At that point, she has to, come on. But whatever. But Hunter's asking, is she trustworthy? Are you trustworthy, Hunter? No. So then let's move back over to Kareem. So Kareem and Sharon are back in the pharmacy. He asks her, is she okay? She says yes. He says, so you are pregnant? She says, yes, I am. He says, you deserve better. He says, I actually wish the baby was mine. I'm like, oh God, here we go. Kareem. Once again, but he says, you deserve better. She says, I know. She says, but when it's good with Barry, it's really good. But when it's bad, it's really bad. If you have to say that kind of stuff, Sharon, you definitely need to get out, because the good can't outweigh the bad in a relationship. Yes, it can. But if it's like if you say it's bad, from what you're saying, it sounds like it's toxic bad, like he's abusive mentally, physically, emotionally. Get out. So then Kareem tells her he loves her, and he's like, you love me too, don't you? Kareem, let it go. So then he tells her, why don't you move in with me? She says, and I'm pregnant with another man's baby. He says, I'll love that baby like it's my own. And then she said, that's that corny shit I be talking about. I'm like, the fact that he says he'll love you and your baby, that's corny. Okay, I didn't know that was corny, but whatever. All right, you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. I did not know that there was many. Okay, yeah. So Victoria meets with Dr. Meadows, and she says to Dr. Meadows, "Do you want me to introduce you to Jason?" Dr. Meadows is like, "No, I would like to meet him myself." She's like, "Really? You would?" She's like, "Yeah, I like to do my assessments alone." And Victoria's like, "Girl, okay." She's like, "Wait a minute. So nobody told you about him?" And she was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, Donald. You literally did not tell this woman that this psycho is a serial killer. He's a serial killer. He's a pervert. Oh God, he's a pervert. Ugh, that one scene repulsed me. It was the most disgusting thing that I ever saw. I mean, that was equivalent to a month. We're gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. So Dr. Meadows goes in to see Jason. Jason has an attitude with Dr. Meadows, and he asks her, "Who's paying her?" She says, "Nobody." He says, "So they're not paying you? So is this like, a taxable scheme or something like that?" She was like, "So you really believe your parents would do that?" He's like, "Yeah, they don't care about me. And they don't care about my sister. I don't even know where my sister is." So we see Victoria and Donald, they're talking. And Victoria's like, she's been in there for a very long, she's been in there quite too long. I'm like, I was wondering, how long has she been there? Because, never mind. I'm not going to even ask that question. So Donald says, "Can I ask you a question?" She's like, "Yeah, as long as I can ask you a question." So he was like, "Okay." He was like, "Do you enjoy, the chaos and the drama that surrounds you?" She was like, "What chaos and drama?" "Girl, you know what chaos and drama." So then, she says, "That doctor can't help that creepy motherfucker." "You're correct, Victoria. She can't help him. He needs a seance. He needs a seance." So then she says, "Where's your beard?" He was like, "Oh, I don't have one. It's shaved off. I shaved this morning." She's like, "I'm talking about your wife." And then he was like, "How do you know I'm gay?" She's like, "Honey, it gives itself away." I'm like, "Honey, it kind of does. It kind of does when you look." I know. I mean, if you look at him if you kind of look at him with a squinted eye, you can kind of see it just a little bit. But whatever. These are jokes, you guys, by the way. So then he was like, "You were coming my direction. You were coming back that way. Were you looking for me?" She says, "Yes." She says, "I want Sam to be my lead. I want Sam." He's like, "Oh, you want Sam? I can make that happen." I'm like, "How?" I was confused at that scene. He said he can make that happen. Are you talking about Sam being her lead, or are you talking about her and Sam, Was that what he was talking about? Because I was confused. Enlighten me. Oh, wait, so I'm already at the scene that I didn't want to talk about it. All right. So Jason and Dr. Meadows in his room. When I saw that pillow in his lap, I'm like, oh my God, he's doing what I think he's doing. And I don't know how Dr. Meadows didn't see it. I really don't know how Dr. Meadows didn't see that. I mean, the kid has a pillow in front of his penis, right? His hand is like this. Well, you guys can't see my hand. Okay, so the pillow is like this. The pillow is right here. His hand is in between his crotch, and he's moving. He's moving it. It's not like a. It's not like a. Why did I do that? That looked bad. Oh God, why did I do that? And close to my mouth at that. So his hand was moving like that, so I have to do that, although it looked like it's really close to my mouth. But his hand was doing that. It wasn't going fast. It was, kind of slowly moving. And I'm like, she didn't catch at all that this boy was jacking off. And then he moves the pillow, and she really sees him going like a jackhammer on it. And I'm like, Dr. Meadows, You do realize what that young man is doing? He's masturbating. And then out of nowhere, when he came, he just chunked it. I'm like, ugh. That's like a monkey throwing their feces at people. That was nasty. I would have beat the fuck out of him. Period, point blank. All right, guys, we're going to move on and wrap this episode up because she eventually left the room and Victoria was like, what was that? What was that on her? Shit, you know what it is. Stop playing like you don't know. Let's move on. All right, you guys, so we're going to wrap the episode up. Hunter went to go see Ellie. He apologized to Ellie for the way that he talked to her. And Hunter just says he has a lot going on right now, trying to run the country. I'm like, run the country? You've been running your penis in other women. You're not running the country. And he's talking about this stuff with Diane and how to take care of it on social media. I'm just like, okay, whatever. So let's move on with that. Then we see Kyle. So Kyle goes up to I was stuttering, so I had to play it off. So Kyle goes up to Dom, the residence. He talks to Dom. He tells Donald that he needs to go by the house because something is off. So Donald tells him no. He says Lily is being helped and we need to find out who is helping her. He once again tells her no. So the doctor, she comes out and she's telling Donald that Jason needs a lot of work, you think? And he says, will you help him? She's like, I don't know. But then they talk some more. He says, will you help him? She's like, I'll think about it. He says, but the family and him needs therapy. And I would like to talk to the first lady and the president before. He says, you know what? I'll set it up. I'm like, are you sure about that, Donald? You got Hunter, who is, and I don't want to say, I'm not going to say that. But he does give narcissistic traits. But whatever. So then we see Sam. So Sam, he goes to the kitchen where Richard is at. And Richard has a calendar in front of him. So Sam asks him, like, what are you looking at? He says, I'm looking at the dates when we were in Iraq. So that takes out one of my theories about who Picky's dad was. Because I thought that it was Sam. So it's not Sam because Sam and Richard were in Iraq at the time. So we know that. So who the hell is the father? Girl, who did you sleep with? I mean, it ain't got nothing to do with me, but I would just like to know. So then Sam, Richard asked him what's going on between Priscilla and Sam, because he says Priscilla lied, she was mad. And Sam says, we're good. I know my wife. Okay, you think so? You better hope she don't poison Victoria. So then we see Lily back at her house, and she's in Donald's office, and she's taking some photos. Kyle comes in, and he's asked her what she's doing. She says leave. He asks her what she's doing. She says leave. It's a back and forth because she kept saying leave, leave, leave. She says, I'm gonna call security. She picks up the phone. Phone line is dead. She goes to make a phone on her phone. She goes to make a call on her cell phone. No service. So that was the end of the episode, basically. All right, you guys. So that's it. Be sure to you like this video. Leave your comments in the comment section below and subscribe to the channel. And hit that notification bell button. Excuse me, I'm my bad. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell button. And subscribe to my planner channel. Link is in the description bar below. And I will catch you guys in the next one. So until the next one, you guys do me a solid favor. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Wear your mask and social distance. And we will get through this together. And all right, you guys, that's going to wrap it up. And I will see you guys tomorrow. No. Wait, what's tomorrow? Wednesday. Yes, I will. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the season finale of Sisters. All right, you guys. Have a good night. Bye.